It's time for Two Truths and a Lie. Let's play the first clip.
Because the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
We don't have any more clips. That's a lie. What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Nothing happened. When a vengeful trio of ancient gods arrive on Earth in search of the magic stolen from them long ago, Shazam and his allies get thrust into battle for their superpowers, their lives, and the fate of the world. This movie's rated PG-13 for sequences of action and violence and language. I want to sit back and say, well, it's a movie for everyone, kids, family members, but a couple of moments in here where I don't know if I had a young kid, if I would allow them to watch this movie, hence the PG-13. So it's definitely 13 and up, if not more so. Oh, found a dum-dum in my pocket.
5 minutes later.
Couple of things about this movie. Look, I'm a fan of the first Shazam. I thought it was sweet, comedic, heartfelt. It's not the most memorable comic book movie I've ever seen, but I enjoy it. So that was kind of my enthusiasm level going into the sequel. But then you have the fact that the DCEU, it's not going to really be anything. Now, these characters could survive. They could remain in the upcoming DCU, but the way this movie's looking at the box office, I don't know. Part of that, I believe, is Warner Brothers just kind of burying this movie, maybe unintentionally, but also, I look at the trailers, they weren't all that great. I haven't really heard a lot of hype towards this film. The marketing, for me at least, what I saw, didn't ramp up until recently, and even then, James Gunn's like, oh my god, I love The Flash, and the Shazam's coming out.
Congratulations!
Look, I like Zachary Levi as this character, and I like how he embraces the childish nature of who Shazam is, because he is playing a teenager, right? But in this film, Billy Batson's, he's a little older, right? He's approaching the age of 18, and because of that, I don't want to say he matured on a level of, well, I'm much more of a sophisticated character than what I used to be. No, but Asher Angel, he is more, or less enthusiastic as Billy Batson. Then you have Zachary Levi, once he turns into Shazam, and he's still just as enthusiastic as he was in the first movie, but whenever Asher Angel's on screen, I didn't feel that enthusiasm that I was feeling from Zachary Levi. Maybe that's a character choice, right? Maybe he feels like he can be himself when he is Shazam, and then when he goes back to being a kid, or a kid who's turning into an adult, well, he doesn't necessarily feel that charismatic as a character, but I just didn't really... They didn't feel like the same character.
Will you cut that out?
And you look at someone like Dylan Grazer as Freddy, and that, for me, was the same kind of acting that I was getting from Zachary Levi, and really all of the heroes that were along for the ride. So I thought Grazer's performance was great, but I also thought it felt more similar to what we were getting from the adult versions of the Shazam family. So a bit of inconsistency there, right? Then we look at the story itself. Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu as the villainous characters in this story. And actually, the opening scene was pretty cool, right? David F. Sandberg, he's putting to work what he knows as a horror director. Those are his roots. We saw shades of that in the first Shazam film. I thought the villain in that movie was better than the villains in this movie, but the opening scene, it's kind of packed with horrific moments. There's a scene later in the movie that's slightly horrifying, and that's why I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, yeah, some jokes and some moments are kind of appealing to kids and families, so why is it PG-13? And then I watch these other moments, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that got dark really quick.
Jesus Christ.
So I could sit back and say, well, that's kind of inconsistent. It doesn't necessarily know who its audience is exactly, but at the same time, you watch some of those blockbusters in the 80s and the 90s, and they had very adult moments, but to the point to where they know the age range that was watching could handle that. So I at least respect Sandberg for going for it at moments, and then at other times, we're just kind of focused on the family dynamic and the way that this story revolves around that family whenever they're on screen together in either the child versions or the adult versions, and we get much more time with the adult versions when they were on screen. They were really entertaining, right? The way that they go back and forth when they're in their secret chamber and it's decorated like a teenage room would be decorated. They're going through the plan and how they're going to save the day. Those are the parts of this movie that I look at and I say, this is a really authentic franchise. But if you're looking for anything else, something that separates this from all of the other superhero movies that we've been getting as of late, and I've heard, a lot of people say, well, superhero movies, they're wearing me out, man. I'm getting tired of them. And I watch a movie like Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which I don't think is a bad film, but I watch the sequel and I say, I get it. Doesn't bring anything new to the table. We've seen this shtick countless times. We've seen movies in this vein countless times, and there's so many moments in this movie where I could say, I could tell you exactly what's about to happen, exactly what the villains plan here, exactly who this character, this mysterious character, who they are going to turn out to be, and sure enough, that's who they turned out to be. Now, when you get into the third act of this movie, when everything's going down and, this is our time, our point to feel for the characters that are involved. And you get a lot of really heartfelt moments between the family. And that aspect of family, while still there, we didn't hit it as hard as we hit it in the first film. A lot that had to do with Billy and his mother. That isn't as present in this movie. We're much more focused on the superhero side of things. And, sometimes they say bigger is better. Well, not necessarily in this film. Now, I'll admit, there's one specific battle in the back half that was actually really cool. And again, Sandberg, he knows what to do with creature design. He knows what to do with special effects and the integration of practical effects in there every now and then. And this is a big CGI-filled movie, absolutely. You even get a moment where a character showcases some powers, and you're like, oh, that's coming straight from Doctor Strange. Because it's coming straight from Doctor Strange.
Scooby-Doo this shit.
I will say this, since we're talking about the ending, there is a moment where, how do I say this? Something happens that feels like such a cop-out. It's a cool moment, but at the same time, I'm going, why was this necessary? It just feels like, especially now where we are with the DCU, like, I like it, but I'm also like, did it have to come now? At this point in the movie, it just felt like such a cop-out. It kind of frustrated me. That's the focus. That's the heart. That's the soul. I also thought Djimon Hounsou was really good in this film. And Rachel Zegler is in this movie. And I know she said in the interview, I just needed a job, but she still managed to give it her all. And I like her presence. There's a nice little relationship with Jack Dylan Grazer's character in this movie that I found to be heartfelt and nice. And that's the thing about this franchise, right? As much as I can sit and complain about the overall plot and the telegraph story and knowing exactly where everything was going to go, and there are still certain scenes that warmed my heart and made me sit back and say, maybe I'm just kind of worn out by this type of movie, seeing the same thing over and over, and I compare it to something like Ant-Man that just came out that also didn't get the best reviews, and it had Jonathan Majors. I think that's the big thing that this movie doesn't have. It does not have a great villainous presence. Look, I love Helen Mirren. She's great. I love Lucy Liu, but these villains, man, this could have been anybody, and I would not have cared about what they were doing in the movie. You don't care. You don't care.
All right, I get it!
It's a hard movie to hate, I'll tell you that much, but it may also be a hard movie to love. So before I give you guys my score, thanks so much for being here. If you want to help this channel, dropping that like will be the best way to do that. I appreciate it. Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a completely harmless sequel that offers nothing new or unique to the genre. Levi is charismatic, Grazer's great, and Zegler's charming. There are plenty of fun moments with the family dynamic being the highlight, but the plot is bland and familiar. That being said, it would be a movie if you enjoyed the first. I would say this is at least worth watching. Is it actually going anywhere? I don't know. We just have to see what the DCU is going to bring us. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned. We got more reviews to come on this channel, and next weekend, I'll be in Cleveland with Sean Chandler and the Flick Pick.